The Indiana Fever dropped below 500 once again. It was on Thursday after an 85-75 loss to the Los Angeles Sparks in front of a sellout crowd here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse after they returned from a 3-game road trip. The Fever once again had a 10-point lead in that fourth quarter, but then they were outscored 35-15 the rest of the way in a fourth quarter that was dominated by the LA Sparks. They shot 78% from the field. They did not turn the ball over. Stephen White post-game harped on the fact that they were able to score on 3 straight possessions against the Fever, running the same exact play. And so it's a disappointing finish here for the Fever. They look to go above 500 before they head out on the road for the next couple of games.
Yeah, I think that we haven't shown a killer instinct yet, and that's we have had a tendency to relax in those moments instead of, for lack of a better term, go for the kill, right? We've had empty possessions where we've been too lax with the basketball and have either taken poor shots or not valued every opportunity we have to score. We've had breakdowns on the defensive end of the floor. It's moments of mental lapses or mental relaxation that you can't have in this league.
Now, a lot has happened in the Indiana Fever world over the last several days, just coming off myself of covering the NBA Finals. So let's catch you up if you've missed it on what has transpired. First of all, Caitlin Clark missing time right now with a different injury. It was a left quad strain. Now she's out with a left groin. I asked Stephanie White about it before the game. All she said was really day-to-day. The same answer she gave to several of other players' different injuries that kept them out for much more than a day. And so I think it's going to be a situation where they're obviously going to be cautious with it, lean on how she feels. But we were all wondering, something had to be up, right? I think she was 1 for 23 from three-point land during that 3-game road trip. Just did not look like herself, did not look comfortable, and struggled out there. And so now, after this loss, the Fever have dropped to 2-4 this season without their star player. By the way, they're 5-4 with her. Secondly, DeWanna Bonner no longer with the team. She did not like the fit. She requested a move of some kind from the Fever. It could be a trade, but really by waiving her, it allows for her to choose her situation. So she started the first 3 games. You expected her to be a leader, a strong voice in the locker room, a player who could help this Fever team restore its championship-level culture, but instead, she didn't like it. She wanted out, and so she will hit the waiver wire and then probably decide to go back to Phoenix. But nonetheless, that's just a big unfortunate event here for the Fever and what the Fever and the front office had in store when they signed her this offseason. That was a landmark move to get a player of her caliber, the 3rd all-time leading scorer in WNBA history. She has a couple of championships, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. Just ideally in those situations, you want to realize that before the player joins you. Now another move, Damiris Dantas not with the team for the next couple of weeks because she is away playing for her national team. Will be in, I think it's Santiago, Chile, for a couple of weeks as she plays with Team Brazil there. So the Fever shorthanded up front with Bonner no longer being here, and now Damiris Dantas out for at least a couple of weeks here. Then Fever made another transaction move, bringing back guard Aarie McDonald. She was with the team for about a week earlier in the season when they used their emergency hardship exception to bring her back when both Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham were missing time.
I was excited for sure, and I was confident I was going to come back. I had talks with Kelly and Amber and Coach before leaving, and it just felt like it was a place to be. I loved the girls; they're amazing. Good basketball players with better human beings. Love the staff, and it just really felt like home. So I'm excited to just play for this organization, just keep building chemistry and getting better.
So many transactions continues to add to what has been a disruptive first part of this season, first quarter of the season, and also leans into the idea of why they're 7-8. They haven't been able to have any continuity, any chemistry, anything of those sorts when the lineups are constantly changing, when players are in and out, when players are sidelined with injury.
I think we're trying to figure it out. You're right, we've had double-digit leads going into the 4th, and then we just let it slip. And so for us, we got to be better from top to bottom. We have to have better energy, better focus. And at the end of the day, we've shown that we can do it. It's all about consistency, and we're trying to give each other grace and patience, but at some point you gotta dig in and say enough is enough.
And we have to have foul discipline. Like, we can't give up like soft fouls in the fourth quarter and then they're in the bonus. It just comes down to executing and just guarding our yards and adjusting and making teams do something different.
Thursday's night game was very choppy in that there were several reviews, several out-of-bounds plays that they got wrong. There was even a couple officials who I've never seen before. And I've been in this league since 2003, so that was a little bit surprising to me on this night. But the Fever had a big spurt there in that second quarter, just not as big as they should have. Should have built some great separation, but only got up by like 4 in that second quarter when we saw the Sparks go more than 9 minutes without scoring. They struggled to start that second quarter, and yet the Fever only won that quarter by 5. Went into the locker room with that 4-point halftime lead when it should have been probably double digits at that point. And so Coach White postgame noting how she feels like this team is lacking that killer instinct. Not only does it apply late in games, but it also applies then in that second quarter in particular, I thought.
Yeah, I think after they punched us in the mouth, we responded defensively and we were able to get out in transition and get some easy buckets. We've got to continue to do that. And we don't always have to get offense from our defense, but it starts our break. It allows us to get out and to do what we want to do. Now, we don't run quite as much without Caitlin on the floor, but we still need to be able to and get out and get some easy ones. But yeah, I think that period where they went like 9 straight and we only scored 5 points. We've got to be able to take advantage right there. And sometimes it's not always taking the first shot. It's making sure we get the best shot. It's making the defense guard multiple actions. I felt like during that stretch, we either turned it over or we took quick ones that were maybe contested ones. It's an area of growth for our team, and it has been. And we got to find a way to flip the switch and be able to approach every single possession for 40 minutes with an intention. And with an intensity and sense of urgency.
This was the 4th straight game where the Fever were outscored by 9+ points in the fourth quarter. It was just a disappointing finish for them. They faded late yet again, which has been an issue for this team over these last 4 games. 3 of them have been losses that have caught up with them. And these are the games late in the season when you look back to either do you miss the playoffs or you're not the seed you want or do you not have home court advantage. This is a tough one. And the Fever did not make any excuses. Sophie Cunningham mentioning postgame, while as much is going on and as much as they want to give themselves grace, at the same time, these are pros. They can't make excuses for the schedule. Can't make excuses for players coming in and out of the lineup and injuries and lack of continuity out there. But this is a difficult portion of their schedule. I will acknowledge that, though, certainly.
I think so far this season we've had a lot of distractions, you can call it, some injuries. Don't know who's playing. And so there's just a lot of distractions, but I think that's really good for us. Let's go through the adversity early. Let's learn from it. Good news is we're not going to peak too early, so I mean that's a positive. But I think it's not an excuse. Everyone's playing a back-to-back. Everyone has this kind of rough schedule. For us, we get another opportunity tomorrow, and we got to capitalize on it. Dallas is a team that's hungry for a win, and we talk about this. We are circled on everybody's schedule. Everyone, no one likes us, right? So everyone in our locker room, that's the only type of people that we have that we can lean on, and we got to be better in that area. We have got to stay disciplined. We have to stay focused. We need to get consistent, and we got to lean on each other. And I think that we've kind of wavered a little bit on that. We have our own islands, but as one of the leaders on the team, I got to do a better job of grouping people, right? In the fourth. It's going to kill us, right? Like they scored 35 points, I think you guys said. That just cannot happen. Can't happen. Or if they do, then we need to be scoring 35, 36, 37 points. So we just got to be better from top to bottom. But the schedule thing, that's just an excuse. We're in this league. We're pros, and you got to be a pro, and tomorrow we got to bring it.
They're on a stretch with 5 games in 7 days, plus they have that Commissioner's Cup game coming up next week with another layer of intensity and such. There's money on the line. $500,000 purse will be divided up amongst the players on that winning team. So there is intense motivation, certainly, for that one. But overall, this Fever team's got to be better. Got to be more disciplined, got to be tougher. I thought they did a nice job in that first half, especially defensively, when offense was hard to come by really for both teams. I think the Fever had about 11 turnovers, had had 11 steals, 4 by Cunningham, 4 by Boston. And at that point also the Sparks had 14 turnovers. I think they had 5 in the third quarter, 0 in the fourth quarter. So when the Fever were unable to lead defense to offense, when the Sparks were, instead of turning the ball over, they were scoring and getting good looks inside. Look, they finished shooting the game 50% from the field. That's not acceptable. This Fever team's got to be better in so many departments, but it certainly starts with how they finish games, the discipline, the toughness. I liked a lot of the defense for much of the night. And look, this team, again, just not shooting well from three-point land, 7 of 28. All but a couple of them I thought were solid shots. Many of them were open, uncontested threes, and they just did not go down. Kelsey Mitchell made 4 of their 7, made I think 3 of them in that third quarter. They need more shooting than just Kelsey Mitchell to have success here this season.
The ball's got to move. I felt like the ball got stuck. We held it a lot. We kept it on one side of the floor a lot. We didn't really make them work side to side defensively.
Now the Fever hurried out of the Fieldhouse late Thursday. They had a flight to catch to Dallas. Fortunately, it's the charter flight, and it is obviously direct as well. But a rare situation here where they have an unusual, difficult back-to-back. And more than that, remember, the game was moved venues. It was moved to American Airlines Center for the first ever WNBA game there, for one that should feature 3 first-round picks. The last 3 with Paige Beckers, with Caitlin Clark, and with Aaliyah Boston. But it seems unlikely at this point, right, that Caitlin would be available. The fact that she had MRI here this week again to check on that left groin area and such is obviously going to get treatment. She was here. She was on the bench in sweat, supportive of the team, seemed to be in good spirits. We probably will talk to her next in a week unless she returns to game action here. But it's a quick turnaround for this Fever team, and obviously they have all the motivation in the world, especially coming off of another loss there in the fourth quarter. That will be Friday's game, will be their 4th game in 6 days. And by the way, that includes a trip out west. They came home, then head out to Dallas. So I know they are very frustrated with the schedule, but also realize, look, it's out of their control. No sense complaining about it, because you just have to play what you are dealt. Now, win in Dallas, by the way, or the next win too, would be number 100 for Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White. But again, you have that quick turnaround to Dallas, and then guess what? It's another quick turnaround to that important game coming up next week on July 1. Fever at Minnesota. We don't know the status yet of Nafisa Collier, who's missed time with an injury, but that game is for the Commissioner's Cup, which is a trophy for a team here that has not won anything in over a decade. Didn't win a playoff game last year after getting back to the playoffs. And on top of that, it's a bonus, a salary bonus potentially for these players with a win. Could be probably $40,000 or so per player, maybe $50,000, depending on how it all shakes up. I'm sure Bonner doesn't get a cut of it. McDonald probably does nonetheless. But Fever have to learn from this one and then put it away because of the quick turnaround coming up Friday to Dallas. For FieldhouseFiles.com, I'm Scott Agness.